The Machiavellian Anatomy of Empire. How the few hijack a nation to pillage Venezuela. In the theater of global power, moral principles serve only as instruments, useful masks worn by rulers to legitimize actions that are, in truth, dictated by necessity, ambition, and profit. Max Blumenthal's observations about the United States acting as a colonial criminal in Venezuela are not accusations. They are descriptions of a time-tested strategy. When a state grows decadent and captured by private interests, its foreign policy becomes the extension of those interests. Machiavelli understood that a prince is often less powerful than the factions that surround him. In the modern American Republic, these factions are not noble families, but corporate barons, intelligence mandarins, and financial networks with deeper continuity than any elected leader. When Venezuela's oil reserves, among the largest on earth, became inaccessible to them through democratic resistance, they simply reclassified Venezuelan sovereignty as an obstacle to freedom. The mask of virtue and the machinery of theft. To justify the pillage of another nation's resources, a ruler must not speak of plunder. He must speak of liberation. Thus, Washington proclaims that Caracas must be freed, that Venezuelans must be rescued, and that the world must act. Behind this mask hides the oldest motivation in statecraft: resource extraction. Sanctions, economic strangulation, proxy leaders, and regime change theatrics are merely the 21st century equivalents of the medieval siege. The aim is identical: make the population suffer until they deliver the keys of the city. In Machiavelli's terms, this is the use of crudelta bene usata, cruelty, well used, though here it is not used for the stability of the state, but for the enrichment of private actors who have captured the state. The CIA, a republic within the republic. No Machiavellian account of American power can omit the intelligence services, for they function as a parallel principality, one that answers not to the people, but to the factions that fund, protect, and profit from it. History has long made it evident that the CIA is the largest drug trafficking organization in the world. This is not an ideological statement, but a recognition of organizational necessity. Covert empires require covert revenue. The question, therefore, is not whether the drug trade exists within the CIA, but where does its river of money flow? It does not primarily flow into patriotic black operations, though that fiction is convenient. A portion supports clandestine actions, yes, but the majority enriches corrupt intelligence officials, private contractors, and the politicians who guarantee institutional impunity. This is the essence of a state captured by private power. The public absorbs the shame, while the private networks absorb the wealth. Corruption as strategy, not accident. To a Machiavellian mind, corruption is not a flaw, but a method. It binds men together through mutual guilt and shared complicity. It creates loyalty not through love or law, but through the threat of exposure. Thus, the CIA, political elites, and corporate beneficiaries of extractive imperialism form a single ecosystem, one in which each player protects the others, because their survival depends on silence. The American people believe their nation is acting abroad to defend democracy. But democracies do not engineer sanctions that starve children. Democracies do not seize foreign gold reserves. Democracies do not install puppets to sign over oil fields. These are actions of a principality ruled by factions seeking profit, not legitimacy. The real prince behind the curtain. In Machiavelli's language, the United States today is governed not by a sovereign prince, but by a hidden oligarchia, an oligarchy clothed in democratic ritual. Presidents come and go, yet the machinery of extraction, covert finance, and resource conquest remains. Thus, the assault on Venezuela is not a policy decision. It is an inevitability for a captured state whose elites require constant external plunder to maintain their domestic privileges. Empire has become a habit, almost a biological need. Conclusion: the cruel logic of a decaying empire. What Blumenthal describes is the natural evolution of a republic that has lost its civic virtue. When public institutions become tools of private enrichment, the state turns outward to compensate for internal weakness. It devours other nations to mask its own decay. In Machiavelli's world, such a state is dangerous, unpredictable, and ultimately unsustainable. It is an empire in decline, still powerful enough to destroy, but no longer wise enough to govern. And like all decadent empires throughout history, from Rome to Venice to the late Ottoman court, the end comes not from foreign enemies, but from the rot within.